welcome to Another Bad Call, a podcast that proves the refs aren't the only ones who always get it wrong. I'm JD, and with me as always is my big brother Justin. What's up, buddy?
What's happening, fellas?
And joining us from somewhere in the hills, or as he'll say, somewhere on the other coast, Nate. What's up, buddy?
Live from
Oh, sorry,
Tillamook Bay,
Ben.
Oregon. Live from Tillamook Bay, Oregon. I'm just here. I'm just happy to see you guys. That's all.
Land of the cheese.
Yep, the cheese mafia and the fish mafia.
Hey, I got
That sounds like
the
a
only
terrible
thing
smell.
good out of Wisconsin.
All right. Well, my wife from Wisconsin is sleeping, so we're just going to move past that comment.
I'm in Oregon.
Right. So for those of you who were silly enough to follow Another Bad Call before, you'll notice things are going to be a little bit different this time around. First and foremost, obviously, you get to see our ugly mugs as well as the audio treat that is our voices. You're welcome. But we're also going to change the format just a little bit in ways that before we were talking about daily fantasy, usually talking about DraftKings main event, that type of thing, or main slate. And we're going to kind of pivot from an advice column, because obviously we weren't very good at that, and kind of focus more on like a, general sports, mainly focused on probably football, the Bears, that sort of thing, but really opening ourselves up to basically just converse about whatever we want. So, Justin, anything
Yeah,
to
we've
add
got a
on to
lot
that?
of bad thoughts about a lot of things. A lot of NFL chatter, but we'll dip into the other sports and how to or how not to dad life as we will, and that's why we brought that guy over there along for the ride too. So.
Oh, that guy whose garage lights just turned off. Give me a second.
Welcome to our world, everybody. Right on cue when it's his turn to even say anything, he gets up and leaves.
Hey,
I
at
know, I
least
gotta
he's
find
with
a
us.
remote that
He
turns them on
thought the
all the time.
meeting, this thing was going to be 2 days from now, even though everything else in life said that it was today.
Right.
Well,
So, on that note, it is Sunday, April
except like
21st.
one
It is
text
about.
line I remembered the whole time.
All right, that wasn't rude at all. So it's Sunday, April 21st. It is 10:15 p.m. out here in Indiana land, Northwest Indiana land, I should say. So Central Time, and we're prepping up for the draft. So be prepared. We are going to do a mock draft later, or at least the first 10 rounds.
No.
Sorry, first 10 picks, not first 10 rounds. First 10 picks of round one.
What are we doing the 1964 draft?
There's only a 7-round draft,
glad we
but we're
caught
going to
that
go
one.
for 10.
Right. I like to do extra work. Okay, so we're gonna make sure everybody's nice and prepped. Yeah. So, but before we get into that, we got a couple other things to do. First and foremost, if you're here, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe. Helps us out. Follow, really helps us out a lot. I think the next thing we should probably do is give ourselves a little introduction as to who we are, since there's a lot of people in the world who haven't heard it. Right? There's only about 7 who have listened to Another Bad Call, so let's get the rest of them up to speed. So now I'll go ahead and start with you. Why don't you just real quick, give us a basic rundown of, who you are, family life, that sort of thing.
All right. So I'm Nat Finn. I grew up all the way across the street from these two guys. I am proof that you can take the boy out of the region, but you can't take the region out of the boy. So even though I've lived in Tillamook Bay now for 6 years, I've been married 10 to my better half. We've got 2 kids born 1 minute apart, twins. We call them online Peanut and Prophet. They're a little over 2.5 years old. I'm a kept man right now for the most part, because I fell off a roof a few months before my wife gave birth, and then we found a bunch of mold in the house, and then we couldn't find babysitting. So yeah, I'm doing part-time marketing. Digital marketer. Been doing that for 15 years. So the kids are getting older, so I'm actually starting to redo all my Google search and catch up.
Right.
Well, you wanted favorite team across all sports. We still want that?
Yeah. So that gives us a good rundown to your personal life a little bit. Let's talk about sports.
All right, team.
Your favorite team all time.
Toss up between the Indiana Hoosiers men's basketball team, the Chicago Bears, and the Chicago Cubs. Depending on the day of the week, it could be any one of those three. Dream job in sports would have been to be an online writer for a mid to small market baseball team. I was actually looking at when we were living in Bay Area. I started looking at how to do it online in Oakland after I sat the 16 NLDS against one of the founders of the Athletic, the online publication. Didn't know him. We just happened chance sat next to each other, and I was that close. And then we ended up leaving Oakland, and now the A's are leaving Oakland. So fuck it. But my most realistic job in sports would be online writer slash analyst, because
Okay.
I've done Google economics, business background, a couple of my religion background, and I've been certified in Google Analytics before that word was even in the dictionary.
All right.
Thank you guys, and I'm just happy to be here. It's an excuse to talk to these two.
Yeah, right. Like take our Facebook Messenger chat and bring it live.
And then
All
archive
right,
it
Jay,
for our family.
you wanna go next and dive into the
All right.
the enigma that is
All right.
your
I'm
personal life?
Justin. Sometimes online I'm Big JW, and I've been married for 20 years. Holy shit. I have three kids. I've got a senior in high school, a seventh grader, and a fourth grader, two girls and a boy. So I would say that I'm the most experienced of this group. um, I've been in
Matrimonial.
management in the steel mills and otherwise now I work for a shipping terminal where we unload ships here in the Great Lakes. I manage people. I've been managing people for um, 25 years since I was 19 years old. So um, I'm good with people. I like people. It can be frustrating, but it can also be very rewarding. Um, favorite team. My favorite team is I love the Bears, and I'm gonna have to call them 1B though because my Fighting Illini basketball, men's basketball, has given me the most um, seminal moments, the most memories of my life from childhood through now, and I've been enjoying sharing that with my son. Hopefully, hopefully more success as time goes on. I'd like to have him be able to enjoy some of the real fun times. Uh, my dream job. That one's hard. I don't know. I think I should be the general manager of the Bears. Why not? Um, I
There you
mean,
go.
I
That's why
mean,
it's a dream.
I mean,
Might be the first time I'd say no, and we
so.
got one.
But yeah, like I said, I like people. I like to be in charge. I like to make the plans and put things together. And yeah, I see some eye rolls going on there, but it's all good.
Oh,
It's all good. Um,
that was
my
feedback.
my most realistic job in sports, um, man, I don't know. Uh, being a podcast host on a may, I don't know. I could be the hype man in the locker room to get guys ready for the games there. Get if the coach doesn't have a speech ready, I'm ready to go. So I don't know.
I think that's just about every passionate fan of the book is like, yeah, just let me in at halftime. Let me
Yeah.
give the speech. I kind of pictured you more as like the equipment manager, logistics for getting team in and out. Honestly,
There it is.
I mean, it's what he's good at. Hey.
Fired.
And for the record, isn't it 22 years this year? You're
Yeah.
over 20.
After a certain point, you only
Yeah.
count in fives.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it should be
we're
20 come
we're
August.
into our third decade. Let's put it that way.
Well,
and I still look this good.
So moving on.
Moving on.
So I am JD, or as sometimes you will hear me be called Josh. I was Josh for the first, 18 years, and then JD became a thing, and then it's depending on how you met me is what you call me. So I usually roll with JD. I have been married. It'll be 10 years in September as well. To my Packer fan of a wife. I Don't ask me. Just don't ask me. I love her. We do have 2 boys. One just turned 8. The other one will turn 5 here in less than 2 months. They are my life. They are going to kill me, but they also give me breath every day. So it's a rough go. I currently work as a business analyst. I've been doing that for just over 2 years now. Basically, data visualization, making sure data pipelines get filled in so that people can make decisions. As far as my favorite team goes, I'm gonna say the Bears. It always comes back to that. But honestly, sometimes it's easier for me to watch Illini football. But I think that's just because the expectations are so low, it doesn't hurt as much
for
when they
sure.
lose.
Yeah.
So I think that's what that is. But my entire, about 90% of my wardrobe is navy and orange, right? It's all Bears, it's all Illini. My dream job is honestly probably to be like an assistant coach or a positional coach, I think, for one of these teams. Or I even considered doing something in the media, color commentator, something like that. But if I'm being realistic, it's either going to be a data grunt or like a ball bitch is basically what's the most realistic. As long as I don't have to run a lot. So
Wait, not
Put me
Bella
down for
Caroli.
cardio. There's so many bad things that get tied to that. I'm just gonna move past. We're gonna move past that. And with that comment, like that's a great segue. We'll lead into our first segment, which is bad call of the week. Oh, it didn't play. There we go. All right. So bad call of the week. Another bad call says it all. Nat Finn, what is your bad call of the week?
Goes out to Indy Star sports reporter Greg Doyle. Caitlin Clark's first press conference with the Indiana Fever shortly after getting drafted. He said something. It's been that video's gone all around the world. I ain't gonna go quoting it, but a lot of people took it to mean, dude, pervy much. And as a father of someone, I don't think I'm as old as he is, but being a girl dad and Caitlin Clark being young enough to would have been my daughter if I'd gotten married younger in life. I think I know what he was trying to do. I think he was trying to do a wordplay joke and didn't try to do it on the fly and didn't think it through.
I think you're giving him way too much credit. I think he's just a fucking idiot.
I might be. I mean, he's. I mean, if it's bad enough that Dan Dockett is trying to get on your case for it, then it's like.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm gonna.
I gotta. What's the point of the reporter? Doesn't need to make it about him. The reporter needs to ask the damn question and get the answer.
Yeah, you don't need to be literally clever in the public. You try to do that behind the scenes, and you're trying to make an introduction, and then not do that joke.
Yeah.
I'm actually kind of glad I didn't hear what this was. So
she does the signal.
She does the heart to her family, and he did that to her in the press conference, and she kind of said, "Yeah, I do that to my family," and then he said, "Well, if you do that to me, we'll get along just fine." Idiot.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't have to quote it. Justin's going to quote it for me. I was trying to be really. Yeah, I was trying to be really. Yeah,
why are you stepping over him? He's the dumbass. You got it right as the bad call of the week, but you're trying to step around it. You need to go straight at it.
I'm trying to be excruciatingly kind on just how stupid that was. I mean,
yeah.
Dockage he blocked Dan Dockage for Dan Dockage ripping on him. If you don't know who Dan Dockage is, he's another Indiana. He's another Indiana guy. He hates Bob Knight because he's so much like him. Grew up in the Knight system, and he's outspoken and this, that, and the other. And I still listen to him like very little because he's a region rat. He's from Maryville. So, but. God, if you're black, if Dan Dockage is getting on you for going too far, you went too far.
Yeah, that sounds like something you get away with 20 years ago, and nobody bats an eye. But now it's just weird.
Especially when you're coming off like the female athlete that's done the most to propel female sports in the last 2 decades, and
Yeah, I
Right.
mean,
she's
she
got
went straight. Yeah, she's straight
yeah,
Madison Bird, right?
she's really garnered a lot of attention for women's basketball, WNBA, and the ratings uh, for her in the NCAA tournament were just outstanding. They outdid what the men were doing. So, um,
By like 2 billion,
yeah.
by like 2 million viewers.
And hey, she was great on SNL. A fantastic
I didn't even
news
see it.
update.
Yeah.
And she was on the Pat McAfee show too. And, made a joke about being a weekly guest.
Yeah, is that going to
So
happen?
we'll see.
I didn't even see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
I've been studying too much Google.
So, all
We'll
good.
see. All right, Justin, let's
All
talk about your
right.
bad call of the week.
Mr. Jonte Porter. This guy, holy cow. Mr. He's putting together parlays on himself, unders, so that he can try to cash in. First of all, he put in an $80,000 parlay on himself. There's probably not $80,000 total in all of sports books going on anything on Jonte Porter as it is, and so he puts together this 80,000 uh, same game parlay that would have paid out like 1.8 million or something crazy like that. And yeah, he gets caught. And the NBA did what they should do to this fool, make an example of him because he's gonna ruin things for all sports bettors. This is the kind of thing that really gives these leagues. This is what they were worried about when sports betting really started to take off and got legalized everywhere. And so they brought the hammer. Man, he's done. He got the Pete Rose. He's out. Lifetime
Lifetime
ban. So,
suspension.
yeah, Jonte Porter, bad
That's
call.
some.
I mean, I could have come up with like
Like,
14, but that one was the easiest one.
That's like a world's dumbest
Oh
criminal
yeah.
shit right there.
Didn't he
Like
end up
just
only making like 22,000 or something on those bets for a guy who's making 7 figures?
Yeah, no, he'll be lucky if
I
he'll
mean,
be lucky if the
bet,
government doesn't come after him for some sort of RICO stuff for trying to fix games and stuff.
Well, I don't. Two governments. Remember, he's
Yeah.
playing in Canada.
I mean, like if you're gonna be dumb enough to bet on another sport. If you're gonna be dumb enough to bet on your sport, bet on a different team. And then if you're still going to be dumb enough to bet on your own team and yourself, bet the overs where you really don't have full control over that. Like to bet the under on yourself where you can just.
Oh yeah, that's the thing. He got hit in the shoulder and then he said he had an eye injury, and he needed out. Yeah.
It was from staring at the
Yeah.
sports books. That's.
A chiropractor too could probably make
I
that.
mean, him and Shohei Ohtani's translator must be in business together or something. I don't know.
Maybe they'll start a
Oh.
podcast together.
All right. Before I say
Speaking of
anything bad, yeah, my bad call of the week is going to stick with the betting, except it's going to be me betting on the Masters. Listen, I typically, once NFL season's over, I don't even look at my DraftKings stuff. I just leave it alone. For some reason, I was like, hey, you know what? Let's throw some money in the account and put some bets down. And so here's what I did. Wednesday night, I did a few bets on some outright winners. I put the $5 on each of these. I had Xander Schauffele going as a winner. I threw a long shot at Tiger, not expecting, but just because that $5 was going to turn back 700, I had to give it a go. I bet Dustin Johnson to be top 5 at plus 800. And then I had a parlay that was Jon Rahm winning, Scheffler and Schauffele in the top 5, and Koepka in the top 10. And here's how bad that went for me, right? Tiger Woods finished in 60th place. Dustin Johnson missed the cut. Schauffele finishes in 8th. Rahm and Koepka tie for 45th. And Scotty Scheffler obviously wins the thing, so he is my one top 5. Like The only way that could have gone worse for me is if Chef Scotty just leaves in the middle of the tournament and is like, I'm out. Like, that's the only way that could have gone worse for me. So I didn't write all these down. I didn't follow it up. I followed it up Sunday morning on our way to do the putting tournament that we did on Sunday. I did a couple other ones that had I can't remember his name right now, but I had somebody else winning, and he finished in second, but they all were parlays with Xander being in the top five.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, Oberg. That's right, Oberg. Yeah. So yeah, that was a little bit rough, but yeah. So that was a mistake on my part. That was my Tales of a Degenerate that I'm gonna leave open for you now, Justin. But that was definitely my bad call. So now we'll move on to your side of that in Tales of a Degenerate.
Yeah.
All right, so I've given you my sad sack story. Let's
so the segment that was definitely not just made up to follow my ups and downs. But no, I made that's all right. Hey, it's all in fun and it's all done responsibly. So it's just for entertainment purposes.
Oh yeah, I forgot the 1-800 Gamblers Anonymous number.
For sure.
I'll get that fixed.
Look, I do like to dabble here and there on a lot of different things. It just makes games more interesting to watch. So, and it gives me a reason to watch games of teams that I might not normally. Masters, I did place quite a few bets on the Masters too. I didn't completely blank because I did have Max Homa top fives, but kind of disappointed I missed out on Cam Smith and Will Zalatoris top five and win bets because those guys they were there right around the top 10, but they didn't quite sneak up there. I guess anybody that's betting against Scotty Scheffler right now, that guy is on fire. I think everybody just can't wait for his wife to have a baby and hope that he takes a week or two off so somebody else can win because is
he the one that was going
yeah, so and he was behind coming into today's final round of the RBC and he's up by 5 strokes now. He's got to finish tomorrow. They ran out of daylight because of some rain and stuff, but
he took the lead yesterday. I think.
Yeah, he tied. Maybe he tied it up or something. But he came back and he's lapping the field. So, but just for right now, there's some NBA. I haven't really done much to set up any NBA bets in the playoffs here, but I'll get to that. But really, right now, I'm focusing on trying to build my bankroll through betting against the White Sox because they are historically bad, and I can bet the run line just about every day. And just because it's baseball, and I'm so gun shy because baseball has weird stuff happen. I don't like to bet too much on it, but I'm definitely betting, 4 or 5 games out of the week against the White Sox because they are going to end up being probably historically the worst baseball team ever this year. That's how bad they are.
I mean, yeah, there's an Oakland team that's going to give them a run for
their
money.
No, they're not. The White Sox have won 3 games, and they're not going to be favored in any game the rest of this season. They are bad, and this is coming from a White Sox fan and a Bulls fan, and man, the day Jerry Reinsdorf is no longer the owner of those 2 organizations will be one of the better days for this fan because he just does not have any interest in putting winning organizations together anymore. That's it. So That's it for my degenerate nature. Let's
Alright.
move on.
Yeah, I was gonna say that actually kind of pulls us right in and get another good segue to put us into our next segment, which is going to be Bleeding Hearts with Bleeding Fans. You guys digging this high production quality we got going on? Because it's really working out really well for me. Really like it. So yeah, we're gonna get into this Bleeding Hearts, and just real quick, I want to mention on that Tales of a Degenerate. As we get into the football season, maybe we'll start doing like a little tracker, just an up and down for both of us to see kind of how we're doing throughout the season. Obviously, we're not going to get into
Yeah, everybody has
amounts or anything, but
different
just
things they're
see how we're doing.
comfortable with, but we'll definitely put
Right.
together a tracker for how our wins and losses go.
Yep.
And
Yep.
we'll,
The dollar
we may
values
give
and show the
some preview
charts.
picks too of upcoming games.
Yep.
And you
And
can check the tractor to see if it's even worth trying. Hey, you guys.
and in all seriousness, if you do have a problem or you suspect somebody does, that number is 1-800-GAMBLER, and that will get you to where you talk to somebody that gives you some help.
Yep.
So back into this Bleeding Hearts, I'm gonna go back to the Masters, and for me, Tiger making his 24th consecutive cut at the Masters, it's insane. Like it's a really impressive thing, and for me, even more so considering the toll it just takes on his body anymore, and how difficult it is for him to get through, even 2 days of golf, but really 4 days of golf on that course, which is, it's very undulating, and it takes a lot of work out of him. But
He's got he can't use his legs anymore, so it's an upper torso swing, which puts an incredible strain on his back, and he's got the back spasms, and he's had back surgeries and all kinds of crap. It is a testament. You know what? If he only played one tournament a year and it was the Masters, I'd be fine with that. It's incredible to watch, and I think he really only wants to be out there if he thinks he can compete. And man, he made the cut, and he was looking good there. But some of the weather delays and things like that just worked against him. So
yeah, him having to play the extra 5 holes on Friday, I think really did him in. But the other part of that I wanted to talk about was on hole 16 on his final round, he walked over and shared a moment with Vern Lundquist, who famously
that he ran into.
Vern famously made a call when Tiger hit that infamous putt on 16, and it was just a really classy moment that Tiger didn't have to do. Especially, he was having a rough day on Sunday. I think he was like +5 or something. Like I said, he finished in 60th, but just to go over, take the extra steps, and go take a moment with him. And I don't have the exact quote. Nobody really knows exactly what was said, but Vern did come out and say that he said something about being tied at the hip together forever as a result of that call.
Is like one of, if not the most iconic shot in golf, and it like how much golf apparel did it sell for Nike as they zoom in on the ball that just takes the half turn and then shows the Nike emblem right there on the ball and then drops in the cup. It was the most memorable golf shots of all time, really. But I really, what I want to know? I want to know what Tiger wrote in that note that he definitely didn't pass off to the amateur Shipley on Sunday. that was one of the funny moments when the reporter asked him, what did Tiger say to you? What did he? And Shipley's like, I don't know what you're talking about. It's not on video for anybody to see get the note, but whatever. It's a cool moment.
The other thing I did want to touch on, just because it was the Masters and it's a special time of year, obviously, we talked about Scotty a little bit earlier. This guy is damn near robotic to me. I mean, with the exception of his footwork, because I don't know how his ankle is still like even functioning, that that left ankle that he does. But he is in such control of his emotions throughout the round. You know, he just plays very even. He turned his game up, you know, as people started to pressure a little bit, and he really didn't have to, just to set it a thing. But for me too, he seems like an even better dude than he is just a golfer, right? His wife is due at the end of April, you know, and he's discussed a few times how family comes first, how golf is what he does and not who he is, and it just makes it really easy to root for people like that. So good on you, Scotty. Much blessings. You know, best of luck to you. You know, with
You
you
go.
know the impending birth. So
Golf novice question here.
Yeah.
Why is Tiger's legs so jacked up he can't use his back so jacked up he can't use his legs for power anymore?
But I think
basically.
it's his
Oh,
leg is
man.
so jacked up from an ankle from being broken and everything. He can't. Yeah.
From the
Right.
car crash?
So
From accidents, yep.
Yeah. Which one? God, there's been more than one.
So
all right,
Yeah,
Nate,
all right.
what's your bleeding
No.
heart talking about this week?
that is
A little bit about the transfer portal. It's bittersweet being an IU fan with the transfer portal because IU boosters spend way too much money on that program. So sure, right now IU has the #1 transfer portal class with 2 top 10s and 3 top 20 ranks and 2 more in the pipe. And there used to be a thing in college sports when you had your team and then you lost and then spring and then you regrouped and you said goodbye to the seniors and then you guys spent all season working together and summer and you came back and yeah, that's all gone. I mean, the fact that IU kept their core together is like a miracle, like 7. And then you watch like Duke has lost 9 to the portal. It's like, I mean, on one hand, I'm actually glad the players are getting paid. The rules that used to be in were so hamstringing. Like, remember growing up, Steve Alford got suspended a game because he did a photo shoot for a church's camera or for a church's calendar for a nonprofit. He wasn't getting paid a dime, and they suspended him a game. Or who could forget Shabazz Napier being upset because they didn't have enough food.
I forgot.
JD says who?
It was
I don't need the story. I'm just saying I forgot.
LeBron's last year in Miami. And UConn won the championship, and point guard Shabazz Napier, and they were talking about, "Were you happy about this?" He's like, "No, I'm hungry. The rules won't let me go eat another fucking meal." And so that's when they first started. They first started loosening up the rules and realized just how ridiculous some of this was. And so after that, it was, you get all your food, and now you have all these stories of kids who are coming from broken homes and no infrastructure to speak, economic infrastructure to speak of, trying to survive on these state campuses with all the food costs and housing that they weren't allowed to pay for. So I mean, I'm happy that the market's freed up enough for the players to start to dictate the wealth. It's starting to become like the NBA on steroids.
Actually, it's worse because there's no salary cap or anything else in play. What this is as a result of the NCAA's
like
greed over the long run, and instead of getting ahead of these things 10, 15, 20 years ago and starting some sort of stipend program, freeing up, putting rules in place for players to leave their teams without having to sit out a year if their coach left. If they would have done these things, back a while ago, it wouldn't have turned into where the courts had to make a ruling, and the courts are going to say, no, you're limiting these individuals' right to use their name, their image, their likeness, and so that opened the floodgates, and there was no framework put in place. So you got the name, image, and likeness things, and it's crazy. I don't know. It might get a little bit worse before it gets better. We've got this is the last year that we have the kids with the COVID year. So the super seniors,
Yeah,
this is the
the
last year for
COVID.
that.
Yeah, because now you got Hunter Dickinson. You got Hunter Dickinson on his
Right. You
sixth
got
playing year in
Marcus
Kansas next
Damask
year.
from Illinois is suing the NCAA to get an extra year because he was injured for one of those years. So we'll see.
Well, that's
Yeah, that's
wonderful.
what that's about. So
Yeah.
we'll see, and then you got like FedEx's. I saw where
Yeah.
they're pledging 25 million to Memphis NIL, and I don't know if that's
Wow,
25
Memphis. Yeah.
million a year or 25 million over a certain set of time. Um, but it's pretty
Well, and
crazy.
that's
I know.
that's the part. That's the part I don't get. That's the part where I'm having trouble seeing the ROI in some of this. Like, sure, FedEx is giving 25 mil to make the programs look better, but they're not even
Well,
getting branding out of some of that. They're not.
that's
It's not an
where
advertising deal.
if
It's a word of mouth. Oh, FedEx did this, so let's ship with FedEx over UPS. I don't even like some of these deals. Like, I don't get the ROI for these programs outside of prestige and
it's what it's going to.
that's it.
That's where the NCAA really needs to attack if they're going to get it in control at all. Is they need to there needs to be some sort of proof of concept, proof factor where they're actually getting these deals in these players and they're making commercials or whatever representing these brands in some way to get the return. I know, like, I follow Illinois basketball, so I know that some of the players this year were doing some commercials for a car dealership down there, and there was some pretty funny stuff. So I do know that they are obligated to make appearances and go do
Some do that.
things. I don't know that it
Well,
really has an ROI for the businesses that are
well,
donating the money.
well, I tell you, actually, tell you what. Actually, they just changed. Like, they're just changing that rule that the schools can get involved now. So there's a chance that FedEx could do that. Now Memphis players can start, being a part of the program because the schools can now be interactive in dispersing funds,
Hey,
which
Survivor
makes it
Confessional.
which makes
Back
it
up so we see
also
more than your mouth, would you?
sorry. I've literally got this 8-foot stick and I'm
Yeah.
trying to do I'm trying to move it under the lights enough to keep them on. As
Dude, your head looks massive
And
right now compared to the two of us because you're just so
Sorry.
close.
It didn't look that bad on here. I'm sorry.
yeah,
But yeah, like the other one I'd work on is the international players. Hearing that Zach Edey wasn't allowed to make U.S. NIL money because
he's on a
because of his
student
Canadian
visa. He's not
visa
on a work visa.
was
Yeah, I mean that doesn't surprise me, but
yeah
I'm sure he could make
that's yeah.
Canadian money with Canadian companies.
I'm told from sources he got Canadian oil money NIL from Canadian NIL. So I
First of all, Schefter, you're told from sources, like,
Yeah.
or you read it somewhere.
no
What-
actually
Back up!
I was told from those from the Purdue program.
You're scaring.
Sorry.
You're
seriously,
you're gonna
confession
scare away
cam.
all 0 viewers that we have.
You're scaring the normal. I'm trying to
Oh my gosh, dude, it's like a hostage video. You keep getting so close that you're like, somebody save me, I'm in trouble.
I hope you can edit that out, but then use that for a social clip. Anyway,
No,
you got any more thoughts on the transfer portal right now? Yes, you got a. I mean,
half of my
well,
thoughts.
it's supposed to be a conversation.
It is. It is.
right. Go ahead.
I'd like to see the market stay somewhat deregulated. I'm actually concerned the school's getting into it more because they're gonna try to control it too much again. But it's just hard while this market adjusts. Like, it's starting to get into like an NBA model where you're gonna pay your core. You're gonna pay the biggest, like in the NBA it's usually your big three or whatever. So they're starting to pay the core. And my concern is all these players who aren't in these cores that are trying to switch to the other programs chasing the money. but aren't going to get the playing time. And so they're going after these short-term gains. And it's going to turn around and bite their careers in the ass. And that's the
Well,
part that I think is most
it's
troubling.
here.
A lot of these guys going for the short-term gains, though, aren't playing basketball after college anyway. They're just making their money where they can.
But if like you're going to get 600,000, you can say you get 300,000 for 1 year. But if you're going to get 200,000 to stay and play 3 more years, then
well, I mean that's something they're gonna need to like. Maybe schools will get they'll get smart and put guys on like a multi-year contract, so to say. But
sorry. Well, and that I would like to see a 2-year NIL.
You know, yeah, it's I don't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you start pushing into contracts and that sort of thing, and it gets really wonky. For me, I'm not surprised that there's a governing body, especially at the collegiate level, that's not actually concerned with the well-being of their students or athletes. Like it's not surprising at all. But anyway,
all right, yeah. So my bleeding heart
let's get your bleeding heart
with the
out.
Illini, and this past week, Chester Frazier, assistant coach, former Illini player, really cool dude. I like the guy. He parted ways with the Illini. It was a poorly kept secret before it actually got made public. It was known for almost a week, and it's kind of it was kind of iffy whether he left on his own accord or if he kind of got pushed out the door, which maybe it kind of seems like that might be what happened. Differences of opinions and styles is what I've heard. And he moves on to West Virginia, which is a lesser program and probably making less money at that school. But he kind of trolled Illini fans out the door on today on Twitter because he got two of the Illini transferred, Sincere Harris, Amani Hansberry. Sincere Harris redshirted last year. Hansberry played sparingly. He had some back issues and stuff like that. But
Harris previously said he was staying too, didn't he?
Those were both Chester Frazier recruits, and they both took visits to West Virginia this weekend, and they both committed today. And Chester Frazier posted a little meme about with what's the actor? Why can't I think of his name? Anyway,
What movie?
I'm drawing a blank.
I'll look up Twitter right now. I'll look up right now.
Denzel Washington.
Denzel
Washington, and he said, "I'm gonna take a little something with me. I might be leaving, but I'm taking a little something with me." And he did. He took two of the Illini players. But just out late this afternoon, early this evening, it has been confirmed that the Illini have hired superstar basketball assistant Orlando Antigua, who had previously been on Brad Underwood's staff. He had left to go back to his roots with Calipari at Kentucky and chose not to follow Calipari to Arkansas. So he's back in the fold with the Illini. He's a great recruiter. He's a really good coach with his international connections and coaching the big men. So it was a great snag by Underwood to get him back. There's a few players that had previously been committed to Kentucky that maybe he might be able to bring along with him. So it'll be interesting to see in the next week or two what happens there. So
Chester Frazier, I get Chester
Frazier is the guy. He never really had a ton of offense, but he was a scrappy player, and he's the one that with the chest bump of Eric Gordon at midcourt when Eric Gordon came to Champaign the one time.
Yeah, he was a 3-time all
great
Big Ten
defender,
defense or something like that.
Not much of a shooter, but he's scrappy and he's a real likable guy. He had some pretty good uh, clips of him in the locker room post game and stuff, celebrating with the players.
Yep.
Fun dude. So
Yep.
I'm
Nope.
sad to see him go, but I'm not gonna hate on him. I'm not gonna hate on him. So, but
No,
Yeah, I mean
it's hard to consider it pure trolling when he's alumni. It's like almost like trolling in good fun,
yeah.
even if he's taking
So,
players when he's
but
doing it.
Orlando Antigua is gonna help the Illini. He helped bring in Kofi Coburn when they got him, and he has brought countless 5-star recruits into the Kentucky program, and yeah,
I remember how pissed you
that
were when
was
he
a
left
heartbreaker
the
because
first
the
time.
entire staff left at once. But I think we're back under a different. The Illini and Brad Underwood have proven that they're here. I think to stay. They're not about to fall back into the bottom half of the Big Ten. So should be good to go. But you know what?
Yep.
Basketball season, while the portal season and all that is exciting and fun to watch, we got some real NFL stuff going on now. So let's move into the main event.
All right, now it's time for the main event. And this time we are talking about the 2024 NFL draft. And we are going to do a mock of the first 10 picks, not 10 rounds like my dumbass said earlier, but the first 10 picks of round one. And
You're
we're just going to
welcome
go
that
pick
we
by
already
pick
did
and
our
real
mocks,
quick see what
and we
we've
have
got
them
here.
uploaded.
All right.
So that you don't have to sit here and think of us all trying to think of what we were doing because.
Yep. So let me pull it up here. All right. So here we have our big board, if you will. All right. And I really wanted to have the NFL draft chime, but I couldn't get one loaded up in time.
Probably because
That's
you thought
ESPN, but all right.
Probably because you thought the podcast was Tuesday too.
No, because I know how to read. All right, and here we go. In pick number one, round one, surprisingly, we all Caleb Williams, QB out of USC going to Chicago. We're all pretty much this is a lock, right? There's no if, ands, or buts about it. This is happening. Yeah. All right. So I'm not gonna spend a whole lot of time on this one. We'll move on to the next. We'll move on to this because this is where we get some differences. All right. So you guys both, you've got Jaden Daniels out of LSU going to Washington, and this is where I'm going to remind everybody: this mock is 100% entertainment purposes only. So I want to throw a little something different here. So Washington did a group visit with their QBs. Yep. And the smoke and the rumors is that Jaden Daniels did not care for that too much.
His agent said that.
And I'm just for fun. Yeah. Just for fun, if that is true, what Washington did, because I guess the Niners used to do this where Adam Peters, their new GM came from, they used to do this too, where they'd bring people in on these group visits. If you've got somebody that's uncomfortable doing a group visit, they're probably not going to be real comfortable in a QB room where there's any sort of competition either. So just for fun, they pivot and they take Drake May.
I don't think so. I think that Jaden Daniels has the big time playability that Washington and their ownership is looking for. I think there's started to be some cracks in the evaluations of Drake May that I've seen, things where he could even drop behind McCarthy. So I don't know that happens either, but yeah.
Well, I've seen that Drake May needs to sit and develop. Like I've seen all that, but again, this was
our guesses, and
right?
it would be boring if.
Do I think this is what
all
they do?
Had the same thing on every line here.
Right.
Well, yeah, I tell you, it's great because I did see JD's before this. I haven't seen Justin's, so Justin's picks are going to be like fresh to me as they are to anyone watching this podcast. So I was like, cool. Justin and I actually agreed on something. That happens on occasion.
You'll be surprised how often this actually happens.
Oh, I tell you, if him and I end up having the same draft, I'll talk about when I get to pick 8.
You don't. We're just close. But all right,
What?
so our pick 2 is where we have our first difference. So let's go into pick number 3. All right, and so this is where it goes. Right, you guys say Drake May going New England. I pivoted. Obviously I said Drake May going to Washington, and New England going back to the Michigan well. Right, trying to see if McCarthy can be him, as those youngsters say. But can he? You and that damn TB12. For the record, Nat refers to Tyson Bagent as TB12, and it's one of the most annoying damn things I've ever heard.
I do it in chat because they don't want to spell it out, but it's so fun to annoy him. It's like
JJ McCarthy, out of Michigan, going back to that Michigan well and seeing what would happen. But I'm seeing lots of stuff too where New England's not even
there might be a better
QB
chance
this year
that they trade out.
I almost played with them trading out. I almost had Minnesota trading into this spot and New England going after Penix with the Vikings' first pick.
I mean, they set up Brissett and other veteran quarterback presence to kind of build a support system, what appears to be in New England. And now they're blowing smoke saying, shut up. But
don't forget, Brissett is out of New England. He went to New England first.
Well, I said there's a chance, and we did. I don't know if you want to talk about contingencies, but this was where I had one of my contingencies was here in the spot. Yeah, but
let's get through our mock, and then we'll throw out our different scenarios that we've come up with. But
let's do it. Yeah.
All right, let's move on to pick 4. All right. And this is where I've got my first trade. I've got the Giants trading up with Arizona to grab Jaden Daniels.
Yep.
And it looks like Justin's got a trade in there too. Minnesota trading up and taking JJ. And Nat is staying home with the just...
Arizona's got 11 picks in the draft already, 6 in the first 3 rounds, and Marvin Harrison Jr. is a generational talent. I think someone's going to have to hand him the moon to get out of there. Otherwise, Kyler Murray's got his long-coveted target, and Arizona's got a history of having great receivers. I'm thinking Larry Fitzgerald in particular. I could see Harrison in a similar mold for years, stabilizing the receiver core. I mean, that's
what a lot of people think that's just what's going to happen. I don't hate it. Justin, and I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Justin, I'm assuming your trade up involves Minnesota sending both their first round picks to move up to that spot. Yeah. Yep. Right. And the only reason I've got the Giants here is Arizona only moves back 2 spots and picks up more capital at that point in time. So all right. Moving on, because this is we're going to get in. Not going to be a whole lot of conversation in these next couple of pits. I'll run that through here. So Justin and I both say Chargers are taking Harrison in this case, and I will say if Harrison's off the board, it's probably going to be Neighbors. Like they're taking a receiver right there if they pick there. In my opinion,
they gutted their receiver room. Even though, the one thing I could say is they did spend a first round pick last year on receiver. Right.
I mean, their receiver room right now is what? Quentin Johnson.
The argument
Josh
here
Palmer,
is that
Jalen
Harbaugh
Guyton
comes in. He wants to build through the line. He wants to probably acquire some assets. Maybe he trades back to get more picks, more opportunity to build the roster from the line out. And although I saw some crazy rumors this week that there could be something in the works with Minnesota and actually them trading Herbert, which would which would
Yeah, I've seen that
Oh, man,
which would
since
be wild.
since
but there's like some
Harbaugh
questions
took
about the
that job. I've
medicals on
seen that.
Herbert and everything
Yeah.
with the finger surgery.
Yeah,
Well, this is yep.
yeah. For the record,
that's not where I was reading. And let me
Antonio
just say,
Brown is reporting
Antonio
a lot of
Brown
that, which makes me just
and
say
his
no.
that dude is whacked out. I don't even want to get into.
Wait, can you please say according to my sources, like Hostage Finn did over
I
there?
will show you my sources off camera.
Please never say that to me ever again.
No,
All
no,
right,
it's actually-
moving on.
Now hold on. I actually had a trade. Justin's pointing out the trade to Minnesota's possibility.
Oh,
That's
sorry.
what I
All right.
actually predicted in here in the 5 spot. I thought the fact that the Chargers actually have need at wide receiver at line. Greg Roman's the offensive coordinator. I agree with Justin. The chatter of Harbaugh wanting to build through the lines. I think I've also seen chatter where Joe Alt is a Harbaugh is a big Harbaugh guy, and Harbaugh's a big fan of him. So I think Minnesota's pushed all in to get a new quarterback, and I think this is, if McCarthy's on the board, this is where they trade. They trade in to San Diego. San Diego can address their wide receiver and offensive line needs in the first round with the 2 first-rounders from Minnesota. And Minnesota can get J.J. McCarthy because I don't see the first 4 picks moving from their spots.
So here, this is what I will say for that call, Nat, is that if McCarthy is still on it, honestly, if any of the 4 are still there,
Yeah, any of the 4 is a call.
I see Minnesota going, okay, we need to do it, because that team is in a situation where if
and they're also in a
semi
situation
decent
where
QB,
you have the
they're going to be
Packers
competitive
with Jordan Love,
So-
who just had a good season. He's coming off, and they got a lot of youth on that team. And obviously Detroit had a great season last year. They're looking up. They've got a good core, and the Bears are like reloading with this team and going Caleb Williams, and they do not want to be fall that far behind the rest of the division. So it's important they let Kirk Cousins go, but they have likely the best receiver in the NFL at this point, if not definitely one of the top 3. And his statistical output would say he is. So and they need somebody to feed him the ball, and they don't want to waste his prime time of his career.
Yep. 100%.
Whoever thought in our lifetime the NFC North would be the quarterback division?
Yeah, I mean, it has the potential to be. We're not going to say it is.
But yeah, I mean, I'm not saying it is.
I mean,
let's look at the next one.
It's just like the world has changed.
Yeah. All right, so here we go. All right, so here's where we've got them going to different teams, but we're all saying Neighbors is going at pick 6. Right. So this is where I said, the Giants traded out with Arizona. Arizona takes a 6. They take Neighbors. Both Justin and Nat, you guys got the Giants hold pat at 6, and they grab Neighbors to give Daniel Jones. Somebody.
Some teams in the NFL have Malik Neighbors rated as the highest wide receiver in this draft. His athleticism tests like just off the charts. I mean, even coming out of high school, he was the number 1 receiver in that class, ahead of Marvin Harrison Jr. So I think his size in comparison is the only real knock on him versus Harrison.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's chatter of them moving on from the quarterback on June 1st, but I mean, they free agency patched their O-line. The quarterbacks are going to be off the drafted quarterbacks are likely off the board at this point, the top 4. I mean, it's not like he's going after Bo Nix or Michael Penix Jr. with the 6th pick. I think Neighbors, even though he's shorter than you would like, he's not one of those 6'2", 6'3" guys you'd like to have out there. Everything else is amazing about him,
like a la Tyreek Hill, and he's bigger than Tyreek Hill. So
yeah. Well, and the Giants, for the last 5 seasons, haven't had a receiver over 800 yards in a season. So, I mean, they're due.
I did flirt with two other options for New York here that we can
one
talk
thing
about
I
a
would
little bit
say
later. But
is
I did
that
flirt with an option where Neighbors goes to the
it
Chargers.
wouldn't surprise me. This is our mocks that we came up with, but it wouldn't surprise me if both Minnesota and New York traded into that top 4 or 5, depending on how things fall to get quarterbacks, and New England and Arizona both move back. I don't obviously Chicago's not moving back, and I don't see Washington moving back, but it would not surprise me if New England and Arizona or any
Not with the
New
one
England, Arizona, or LA move back.
So
Arizona would surprise me a little bit. With all their picks, it would surprise me if Arizona went back. But New England, they're positioning as if they don't need a quarterback, but I don't think they're telling the truth.
all right, we'll save some of that for hypotheticals.
Yep, hypotheticals.
All right, and here we go. We are all spot on this one. We all look at this Tennessee team and say, y'all need protection for Levis. Like that's, you know, they've got Pollard is in Tennessee now. They've got Tajay. They've got DeAndre Hopkins. They've got a good tight end. You know, they may have a second, receiver depending on if he's healthy. But they need protection for the quarterback.
Joe Alt
this
is a really interesting
no-brainer
prospect.
spot
The
for
dude,
them.
4 years ago, he was a tight end, and he's converted, and he's got the size and the athleticism, and he's only getting bigger and stronger, and he's growing into that role, and he could be one of these perennial all-pro type tackles. And honestly, for the Bears at 9, I want them to be able to get one of the top 3 wide receivers. But if they're not, I would hope that this guy is there. But it just doesn't seem probably likely.
Right.
Yeah. Their need is handed.
They're also a spot where somebody could try to jump in front of the Bears
and moving on
and trade up into that Titans spot.
Yep. And back to our hypotheticals. So on to pick 8. Pick 8, we'll keep it consistent. Again, everybody that we're saying Dallas Turner and edge out of Alabama going to Atlanta. It's a need. It fills a need, and really that team they're set everywhere else for the most part when you look at them. Their GM has taken offense in the last three drafts. That offense is built out. I mean, they've got London, Pitts, Bijan. You've got Cousins now at QB.
That's where their really, hole is, and their defense too. So their defense isn't bad. So,
yep.
The cap space is tight at under $6.5 million. So they're gonna have to pull a couple more moves here on June 1st. But
cap is a myth. Cap is a myth.
Cap is a myth. We're just gonna restructure.
Yep. All right. So we're all even keel at 7 and 8. And at 9, we all say somehow that Chicago lands at Dunze. And honestly, part of me, this is almost a dream scenario. Like if it was MHJ, awesome. If it's a Dunze, a high class guy, team guy, I would love to see this happen. I had a hard time writing this because I almost feel like we're setting ourselves up for heartbreak.
And I feel like we are probably setting ourselves up for. So I should have mocked it differently, but but
well, I didn't bet it. We're good.
Dunze is
it was
he's just like that prototype. He's not the biggest or the fastest, but he's always in the right place. He runs the great routes. He really helped carry that Washington team into the national championship on it, and the dude is incredible.
Oh, that Texas!
You're gonna get Caleb Williams, who you hope Caleb Williams is a generational quarterback.
Who he is.
And what better way than to put a guy on on the outside. And the reason this is why I want the Bears. I've been pounding this drum for a long time that the Bears got to keep investing in the offense. They've so long invested in the defense that against the grain of how the NFL is changing the rules year after year after year to favor the offense. It's time that they focus on the offense and invest and get Caleb Williams a partner that's going to grow with him through the years. And I love that we have DJ Moore, and I love that we have Keenan Allen. But Keenan Allen has only played about 2/3 of the games the last 2 years, and he's a short-term guy. He's not a long-term solution. So bring in one of these really top-notch prospects and let them get some tutelage from a great wide receiver, and then be set beyond this year to go forward.
Yeah. And the math works out. The ages work out too, because Keenan Allen's about 31, 32. DJ Moore's what, 30, 27. When if you get Adunye and you get him in this 5-year rookie deal at the end, Allen's probably gone. He's like 37. DJ Moore's about 32. All of a sudden, Adunye fits perfect hand in glove for his first big contract. So the numbers play well. It's great. So
Yeah, he comes in a position where he could contribute right away, but we wouldn't need him to.
And he's fostered with Moore and Allen right there in that environment where he can completely excel.
To your point,
on him. Yeah.
To your point is that he's basically a younger Allen or a younger Moore, where he can do what we need him to do in any of those spots. He's going to be where his QB needs him to be. I would love for it to happen, but we'll see. If we do get him, I think we just, as Bears fans, have to be understanding of the fact that we have Allen, we have Moore, we have Kmet, we have a dude. There's only one ball to go around.
Hopefully, it goes around
right?
for the most yards ever and the most touchdowns ever from a quarterback. But you know what? Those bars are not high, real high to surpass. So
No,
we still talk about Sid Luckman, for God's sakes.
All right. Let's not get sad now. And at pick 10. So this is where our differences they show back up here. So we went 3 picks in a row. Both of you have the Jets taking Brock Bowers, tight end out of Georgia, to give Aaron Rodgers some weapons. I'll let you talk on that really quick.
Go ahead, Nat.
I flirted with this one as well, so I'll let you guys talk about that really quick.
I have like books of stuff, the picks in the middle, but now the one you give me is the one outside. It fit a need. They've got Mike Williams, who's coming off injury. We'll see if he can actually play. Rodgers is going to try again. They need to have a need at tight end, and Brock Bowers, from all the videos and the footage, is a man. He's just a beast. So I think Rodgers likes those short routes. So I think he helps those short
for sure.
needs.
They've got Garrett Wilson. They have Mike Williams, but he's coming off a major injury. Another receiving weapon at tight end, which they were pretty weak at, would be good. But we'll see. Aaron Rodgers and his peyote or whatever he smokes in his vice presidential run, if he can fit in actually playing more than 3 downs this season, they're going to want to have some weapons for him. But
I don't know how you call their receiving core weak, because nobody was throwing them the ball, so I don't know really how you can judge that. But
I didn't call him weak, I don't think.
But that's Justin. But so that's actually why I pivoted out of it and said, I wouldn't go Bowers, and they need to get Rodgers some protection, because that offensive line,
so I mean,
not good.
I thought about putting tackle there too.
Not good.
Hey, JD,
yeah, so
I would say pick, because on the screen it says JD screen over the pick name.
It's Troy Fautanu.
Is that the one
out of Washington?
Oh, Washington. All right.
Washington. So I go back-to-back Washington players to close mine out. And I looked that up.
The guy from Penn State you're thinking
Fautanu. So
is
if I said that
Olu Fashanu.
wrong, I apologize. But I'm pretty sure that's how you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, all right, there you have it, guys. That is our first, what is hopefully an annual.
Let's hope that the
top
Bears
10
don't have
mock.
any picks in the
And,
top 10 next year.
That actually went better than I kind of anticipated.
Right. Justin and I accept with
doesn't really make me feel very good. I'll tell you that much.
McCarthy and Dan's was about the same. No, it doesn't.
Right.
No,
Right.
What really deflated me was about just between around when I was filling in pick 8 and 9. I stumbled across what Brendan Donahue had written for Sharp Analysis, and I realized him and I had the same 10 picks, and I was like, I could have saved myself 4 hours. Just
I almost bet Justin that you were going to bring that up.
I could not
almost
believe
bet him.
that you
should have been
spent 4. It took you 4 hours to do that.
Brock Bowers at that point because I was like,
it took me 12 minutes to do mine.
Well, because I go back and check cap space. I go back and check depth. I go check and check roster depth. I check roster depth, and I've checked needs, and I've checked different. Wouldn't check Sharp all day. I checked bleachers. I checked the local news.
Here you go, Nat. 4 hours and you have almost the exact same mock as the guy that spent 20 minutes
what the hell's going on in the NFL anyway. So,
well, I wanted to know deeper. I didn't want to just go this, and that. I wanted to I came across. I liked Joe Alt with the Chargers for a while, but then I realized he had a good left tackle, and then 20 minutes later, I'm like, what? But the right tackle sucks. And so I played with that idea for a while. That kind of thing I did.
So, enough about Nat's sad life. We will hopefully next week, we'll obviously after the draft, we'll do one, and we'll see how close any of us were. I mean, it looks like our really only differences are going to be in the, about the top 5 and then at number 10.
I mean, the players,
we'll see.
The players are probably pretty close. Like I would say pretty likely that those are the players for the most part, but the teams and the order is probably,
Right.
Oh, for sure.
Right.
For sure.
I'll just be like, it'll be fun to look back at and laugh at ourselves. So, all right, let's stop that share there, and let's talk about. We're also working on some hypotheticals, right? So we were talking about any potential trade situations that we think not necessarily might happen, but they're within the realm of possibility that might make things fun. Right.
Yeah.
So
some of them
I'll go ahead. I'll lead one off here. We'll each take one, and I'm gonna say no trades. Right. I'm gonna say no trades in the first 8 at all. So the first 8 picks go all the way through. The draft goes in this order: 3 QBs, 3 wide receivers, 2 tackles.
Yeah.
And at that point in time, the Bears say, "I'm trading out of 9."
Here's the thing: that was
go after the edge rusher, Turner.
Pretty spot on, close to my first scenario, which was no trades. And I only just went as bad as far as like 4 quarterbacks go and 3 wide receivers. And that being the case, I think the top tackle goes. And then, so that's your 8 picks in front of you. And then you have Sad Justin, and it does then at that point make sense to trade back and try to acquire a couple extra picks. But so that's probably the most likely scenario because I don't ever get to have nice things. That's just
right.
my life. So
the guy's getting Caleb Williams with the first pick.
Let's
also talk about his house and where he lives, and I don't.
Anyway, nice things in my fandom.
I didn't say you don't work hard, but you said you don't get to have nice things.
When's the last championship that I mean, aside from the Bulls in the 90s, and the Blackhawks, who really, it was fun, but it didn't really, that wasn't like something that I super like care about. My Illini is still nothing, and the Bears 85. Man, I at this point we know the legend more than we actually know. Like remember the experience of what was actually happening, based on it. I mean, I remember, but it just was
I remember where I was.
not. You know, I was 8 years
All
old,
right.
so. Anyhow, next
I
scenario.
remember 20 better than I remember 41.
All right. So Justin, you kind of touched on Nate. What was your first hypothetical?
My first one was my trade that I had in my picks, where I think Minnesota's going to try to crash in there somewhere. I don't think the first four are going at all. I think, given the uniqueness of the talent and given the fact that everything's so offensive intent, I think Minnesota's going to break in where they can. I say that was mine.
All right. I'm gonna throw this out that the Vikings trade for the 3 and the Giants trade for the 4. So New England and Arizona trade out. At which point things get really interesting.
Where's
I mean,
Arizona?
I think it's 4 QBs at that point, right? But
Or trade
that
up.
opens the door
Or
for the
trade
Bears
up.
at 9 to either have a receiver or a tackle.
Who is Arizona trading
That's
with?
well. That's
four?
what. That's so.
Or trade up if they want.
I have mass
who cares?
chaos.
That's
That was
just-
my second scenario. Mass chaos. Patriots and Cardinals trade back. In this instance, I see Poles. You know,
Okay.
he moves up to
Okay.
5 and gets Marvin Harrison Jr. Puts him with Caleb Williams. I couldn't imagine a better scenario. And what do they get if they give up one of their seconds? I don't know if they give up their first next year to move up there. I don't know if their first next year.
if the
Hopefully, is
Bears give
further
The
up
back.
hope
that
is our
first
first is
round,
so far
great.
back.
Maybe if they give up their 9 and their first next year and get something else back this year, another pick back this year, like a 4 or 3, you know. If you ended up if we leave this draft with Caleb Williams and Marvin Harrison Jr., I'm going to spend so much money on Bears apparel. It's not going to be good. Yeah, exactly.
Put one there and
Exactly.
one
The
there.
draft cap. There you go.
I
almost forgot that's the draft hat, boys. That is. Although this is the graphite version, this is not the navy version.
I should have probably stunk up my scenario 1 with you guys, because in my scenario 2 I had no picks in the top 8, no receiver available. Bears don't trade back. Bears go after that defensive tackle out of Texas. Young.
Yep. Okay.
Because defense is almost not touched at all. I mean, you almost have it's unusual. It happens once in a while. It's unusual that that you have that much defensive talent at your disposal. It's hard to give that up.
There's a chance the top 10 this year is all offensive players.
Yeah, that's great.
I mean, it's
a testament to what Justin keeps preaching about investing in offense.
I would, if they stay put and take a defensive tackle or edge, that to me is going to be more disappointing than if they trade back. Because of that, because of what I've said, they've got 2 defensive tackles that they spent draft capital on last year that have more time to develop. They traded one of their their second round pick to get Montez Sweat. There's still some room for them to do something in free agency or trade within the draft, post draft, to address some depth at edge. Put the pieces around Caleb Williams to give him more opportunity to succeed, whether it be weapon or protection.
All right.
Well, my other thought was that offensive tackle out of Penn State. But Brad Biggs posted that earlier today about Young out of Texas. I'm like, yep, I like that idea.
All right. Quickly, what's your third hypothetical, Nat? Because we're past our hour mark by a long shot.
Yes, by a mofo. Bears trade up to number 3, use both first rounders and number 9 this year and the 2025 next year to
All the
go
way
with
up
New
there.
England to go after Marvin Harrison Jr. Because I think New England, because of the fact that if it falls that way, McCarthy could actually still fall to 9, and New England could pick him up at 9.
My argument to that is that if they do that, McCarthy's not making it
New
that far
England
because
might not
Minnesota's probably going to jump up
have
to
their eye
Tennessee's
on
spot.
McCarthy
Which is a
either. They
possibility
might
as well.
be
But
comfortable with
they get up there,
Penix in the second round or something like that.
well, yeah, they have it on Drake May at that point.
Right. Yeah.
Because Drake May was going to still be open at that point, and I thought that because Arizona, I don't know what Arizona does at that point.
Hey, teeter totter, talk to the camera.
Sorry, I was fidgeting. My bad. No, it's at that point at 4, maybe to go after Neighbors. It's a little high for them, but that leaves the Giants. That leaves the Giants at 6 going after Drake May and leaving or. And if Minnesota
just to
jumps in and crashes the
clarify,
party.
the defensive
that
tackle from
quarterback room of
Texas is
Daniel
Byron
Jones and
Murphy,
Drake May kind of
not
makes me sick
Young.
to my
I don't
stomach.
know where you're at, Young
Yeah, it
from,
does.
but
Why are they calling him Young?
I know that his name's been tossed around
Are
a
you
lot,
thinking
but
from
also
back in the
if they
day?
ended up with a trade back scenario, I wouldn't be heartbroken if it was Johnny Newton. Yeah. So.
You're right.
My final
Sorry,
hypothetical was
all right, Justin.
no trades through the first 6 picks. Then the Titans trade with somebody who's jumping ahead of the Bears and steal our thunder to get that third wide receiver. But then the Bears just decide to stay and take best available, which maybe it's the tackle, one of those offensive tackles or something. Because they stink. They need more assets too.
Why would the Titans
right.
Yeah, I mean yeah.
Right. I mean that draft capital's draft capital. So all right. I'm gonna throw this one out here because this again purely entertainment and hypothetical just because it would make things stupid. Should the Cardinals shock everyone and take Odunze or Neighbors over Marvin Harrison Jr.? At that point in time, the Bears better make that phone call and trade to 5. I mean, just make that phone call and trade to 5 at that point and go get it. That's where I'm okay with it. I don't want to see him do it if it's not to get MHJ. Yeah. Right? Like, if it's for, and don't get me wrong, I love Odunze. I'm not sold on Neighbors personally. I love Odunze, but I don't want to be trading up that much to get there, especially when we already have the skill position players. I'd rather wait and take a tackle personally. But like that for me would be the chaos one for me more than anything else if the Cardinals take somebody over Marvin Harrison Jr.
Well, I read somewhere, and I didn't write it down. Apparently, Ben Volin of the Boston Globe is also predicting the Bears are going aggressive after Marvin Harrison Jr. But I'd read somewhere where Marvin Harrison Jr. hasn't taken too many top 30 visits.
Well,
I'm looking it up, but the Bears.
I am of the opinion. I've heard Belichick say it before. Everything you hear up until 12 hours before the draft.
There's your group of people that are saying the Bears are going to be aggressive and trade up. There's your group of people that are saying, the Bears are like Brad Biggs. It's all been smoke. They're just going to go for a defensive player at that position. And that we're just talking about the Bears there. There's been all kinds of rumor and insinuation. I mean, that's why it's fun to talk about, because the NFL is so popular. You get so many people speculating and coming up with the different. I mean,
I'm looking
Yeah,
around. Marcus
there was
Patterson Jr.
some
has been to the
rumors that
Giants,
he
Arizona.
was trying to
He's
tank his
probably
draft
Chicago top 10.
stock so that he could get back to the. I don't believe that. I don't believe that for 1 second.
Yeah,
That's costing him money. You
But that
know.
was like part of the narrative script. Like a month before Caleb Williams was taking his draft, yeah, it's the pattern. It's like,
Right.
all right, Act 1, said prospect will be tanking their
Well,
draft
it's
prospects
how
to try to go to a
it
team.
was
Act 2,
last year. Yeah,
oh
it's
no, we
all
deny those
anyway. Yeah,
accusations. We're not going to try to do that at
Yeah.
all.
we've
So, all
yeah.
right, we could. No, I'm cutting it. I'm cutting it. We're done. I'm cutting it. All right.
Quick,
So
quick.
I'm gonna cut it there so that we can do our quick goodbyes here, and I'll start with Nat so that his hostage keepers here or hostage takers can get him back into his room.
Oh, yeah. So many racially insensitive things right there. That's just rude. All right.
Now, don't be trying to.
I'm saying hostage takers. It just seems like a bad thing.
Well, the one thing is, if he gets
Don't get us
canceled, then
canceled
there's
before
only
we
the
publish.
two of us on the screen. So.
Jesus.
All right, here's mine. 4 days. All right. 5, 3, 2, 1.
Keep that straight on your calendar.
4 days left. 4 days left till we find out. Probably not.
He gave it to his wife. We're good.
I just don't know what day is when I wake up.
Today was the last Sunday that
4
Caleb
days,
Williams
guys.
isn't a Bear.
4 days.
That's all I know.
All.
That's right. That's right.
I know. We've. I don't know. It was fun, boys.
Right.
I'm glad we're doing
Justin,
this. If we can get this on a regular schedule, we'll be coming to you on the YouTubes here and other places. But it's fun to just chop it up and be able to give each other a hard time over bad opinions. Hopefully, you guys find this entertaining. So, looking forward to it. Check us out on Twitter, and usually, if it's a bad take, you can guess who it is.
Yeah. Couple of quick thoughts here. The socials. Nat, what's your social? Let them find you on Twitter, Threads, whatever. What you got?
Justin M. West.
NetFinn.
Justin.
Netfinn.com, all the nets.
Oh, wow. Keeping it simple. And I am at JD West 22, basically across all platforms. First of all, thanks, guys. This is always fun when we get together. If you guys stuck with us through all of this, thank you. Make sure you hit that like button, follow, subscribe, whatever it is that on your platform so that you know when we put something out. I promise we will work our butts off to make this a better product than what this was. I promise. And we will get into a better rhythm. We'll get better audio, all that stuff going. Hang with us. I really appreciate you. And until next time, try to avoid making another bad call.